Smithsonian warns, moving Space Shuttle Discovery could damage iconic artifact. Imagine this. One of the most iconic pieces of space exploration history, the Space Shuttle Discovery, could be relocated from its current home at the Smithsonian's Udvar-Hazy Center in Virginia to Houston, Texas. But here's where it gets controversial. This potential move has sparked a heated debate over the preservation of national treasures, political maneuvering, and the cost of such an endeavor. And this is the part most people miss. It's not just about moving a shuttle. It's about what this decision might mean for museums and cultural institutions across the country. The issue gained traction when President Donald Trump signed a federal tax and spending bill that included provisions allowing the relocation of the Space Shuttle Discovery. This historic spacecraft, which has been a cornerstone of the Udvar-Hazy Center since its transfer to the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum in 2012, may now head to the Johnson Space Center in Texas. The Smithsonian has made it clear that they view the Discovery as more than just an exhibit. It's a vital artifact entrusted to them by the American public. Collecting and preserving artifacts like Space Shuttle Orbiter Discovery is part of our mission, the museum stated. But under what authority Texas can claim the shuttle remains murky, especially given that Congress controls 62% of the Smithsonian's funding, a fact that raises questions about whether political pressure could override institutional autonomy. Now, let's talk logistics, and trust us, it's messy. According to Roll Call, the law provides $85 million for the move, with $5 million earmarked specifically for transporting the shuttle. However, estimates from the Congressional Research Service suggest the real costs are far higher. Moving the shuttle alone could exceed $50 million, while constructing a suitable permanent display facility might require upwards of $325 million. Beyond the financial burden, experts warn that relocating the Discovery poses significant risks to the shuttle itself. As a spokesperson for the Air and Space Museum explained, removing Discovery from the Udvar-Hazy Center and transporting it would be extraordinarily complex and expensive, likely resulting in irreparable damage. Why? Because the orbiter is incredibly fragile, requiring handling protocols that go beyond standard museum practices and mirror those used by NASA during its original transport. Given its age and condition, any misstep could lead to catastrophic consequences. And yet, opposition to the move extends far beyond concerns about money or structural integrity. Both Virginia senators have voiced strong disapproval, joining forces with grassroots advocates like Joe Stieff, founder of Keep the Shuttle. For Stieff, who even held his wedding ceremony in front of the Discovery last year, the shuttle represents more than just a piece of machinery. It symbolizes shared human achievement. Millions of people have visited the Udvar-Hazy Center over the past decade, creating unforgettable memories, he said. It's accessible, central, and serves as a highlight of the collection. He also worries about setting a dangerous precedent if lawmakers can use funding as leverage to strip museums of their prized possessions. What's next? Stieff asked. Could North Carolina demand the Wright Flyer? Could New York take the Hope Diamond? Or Kansas reclaim Dorothy's ruby slippers? These rhetorical questions underscore a broader fear that dismantling the Smithsonian's collection for political gain could erode the very essence of what makes these institutions so valuable. On the other side of the debate stands Texas Senator John Cornyn, who argues passionately that the Discovery belongs in Houston, the so-called Space City. In a statement, Cornyn declared that bringing the shuttle to Texas would honor the city's pivotal role in America's space exploration efforts. Houston has long been the cornerstone of our nation's human space exploration program, he said. It's time for Space City to receive the recognition it deserves. While Cornyn's argument resonates with many Texans, critics counter that the shuttle's current location near Washington, D.C. ensures accessibility for visitors nationwide and aligns with the Smithsonian's mission to serve all Americans equally. Meanwhile, legislative battles continue to unfold. Some members of Congress are pushing back against the move, including Representative Joe Morell of New York, who introduced an amendment prohibiting funds allocated to the Smithsonian from being used for the transfer. His efforts garnered bipartisan support, reflecting widespread agreement that the forced removal of the Discovery is inappropriate, wasteful, and wrong. Lawmakers on the Senate Appropriations Committee debated a similar measure, but ultimately withdrew it. With Speaker Mike Johnson calling for an early August recess, further action on the appropriations bill, which includes funding for agencies like the Smithsonian, is delayed until September. So where does this leave us? Is the Space Shuttle Discovery destined for Houston, or will it remain a cherished fixture at the Udvar-Hazy Center? And perhaps more importantly, what does this saga reveal about how we value and protect our shared heritage? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe the shuttle should stay put, or does it deserve a new home in Texas? Join the conversation in the comments below. Smithsonian refuses to relinquish Space Shuttle Discovery to Houston. Imagine a historic artifact being forcibly taken from its home. This is the battle unfolding over NASA's Space Shuttle Discovery. At the heart of the clash lies a legal showdown between the Smithsonian Institution and a provision in President Trump's sprawling Big Beautiful Bill, which demands the transfer of the shuttle to Houston. But here's where it gets controversial. The Smithsonian isn't budging, arguing that Congress has no legal authority to make them relinquish the spacecraft. This isn't just about a machine. It's about who owns the legacy of space exploration and who gets to decide where it's displayed for the public. The drama began with a Texas-centric push. In 2021, Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz introduced the Bring the Space Shuttle Home Act, aiming to wrest Discovery. The bill stalled initially, but it was resurrected and buried in the 1,100-page Big Beautiful Bill, a move designed to bypass political roadblocks. While the language was tweaked to avoid directly naming Discovery, now referred to as a space vehicle to be specified by NASA, the goal remains unchanged: relocate the shuttle by 2027. The Smithsonian, however, has airtight documentation. In 2012, NASA formally transferred all rights, title, interest, and ownership of Discovery to the institution, which holds the shuttle in trust for the American public. This isn't just a display. It's part of our mission to preserve aerospace history, a Smithsonian spokesperson emphasized. The institution argues that Congress can't simply override its ownership, especially since the Smithsonian operates as a public trust, independent of federal agencies, despite receiving 67% of its funding from Congress. And this is the part most people miss: the legal gray area surrounding Congress's authority. A Congressional Research Service, CRS, recently questioned whether NASA even has the power to demand the shuttle's return from the Smithsonian. The ability of NASA to designate space vehicles displayed by non-NASA entities is unknown, the CRS report stated. This ambiguity has turned the debate into a legal chess match, with the Smithsonian's Board of Regents, including the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and bipartisan lawmakers, likely to resist political pressure. Logistically, the move is a nightmare. Moving a 122-foot-long, 78-foot-wide shuttle like Discovery requires dismantling its current exhibit, navigating tight transit corridors, and maintaining controlled humidity to prevent damage. Past efforts, like Endeavor's 2012 road trip through Los Angeles, cost millions and required citywide road closures. The Smithsonian estimates the total relocation cost could hit $305 million, triple the $85 million allocated in the bill. This is the first time in the Smithsonian's history that someone has tried to forcibly take one of our exhibits, Senator Dick Durbin, D.Ill, warned during a hearing. "What are we doing here?" he asked, calling the move a heist by Texas, which lost the original shuttle placement competition in 2011. The stakes are high. If the Smithsonian loses, it sets a dangerous precedent. Could Congress start moving other artifacts from museums across the country? Should the government have the power to override institutions' ownership of historical collections? We want to hear your thoughts. Is this about preserving heritage, or is it a power grab disguised as patriotism? Share your opinion in the comments below. For now, the legal and logistical hurdles remain daunting. NASA's interim administrator, Sean Duffy, has vowed to execute the president's vision, but the Smithsonian's refusal to comply may force the issue into the courts. As the countdown to 2027 ticks on, one thing is clear. The fight over Discovery isn't just about a shuttle. It's about the soul of how we preserve and share our national history. The costly move of the Discovery shuttle. Over $300 million. The $300 million cost to relocate the Space Shuttle Discovery from the Smithsonian is a major debate in Washington, D.C. As the saying goes, Houston, we have a problem. When congressional Republicans supported President Trump's One Big Beautiful Budget bill, Texas Senators Ted Cruz and John Cornyn secured roughly $80 million to move the shuttle from the Smithsonian to Space Center Houston. This move, dubbed a return home, sparked intense scrutiny. Houston, home to NASA's Johnson Space Center, has long been a hub for space missions, but the shuttle wasn't built or launched there. Senator Cornyn argued that the shuttle's relocation is a symbolic gesture, claiming it's a return home after years of political favor over fair treatment. However, a July 24 Congressional Research Service (CRS) report revealed that moving the shuttle would add at least $300 million to the initial budget, citing language in the appropriations bill that complicates authorization. The actual cost to transport the aging shuttle from Chantilly to Houston is estimated at $50 to $55 million, far exceeding the $5 million allocated for transport, according to documents. Preparing for the move and building a new facility is projected to cost around $325 million, as noted by the CRS. The Smithsonian emphasized that the shuttle, a fragile artifact, must be handled according to NASA's original protocols, which exceed typical museum standards. If moved by ground or barge, the cost is estimated at $8 million, per the congressional report. The shuttle, first launched in 1984, was relocated to Washington, D.C. in 2012, just a year after the U.S. halted the NASA flight program. That move, which cost $8.3 million, drew widespread media attention, with fans celebrating the unusual sight of the shuttle riding piggyback on a 747. Critics argue that the shuttle is one of only a few remaining federal shuttles, with Texas lawmakers asserting Houston should have been among the cities selected under the NASA Authorization Act of 2010, which allowed 4 shuttles to museums with historical ties to U.S. space efforts. The Smithsonian confirmed they held all rights, title, and ownership of the shuttle in 2012. A spokesperson for Space Center Houston said they were working on a statement which would be added to this story once received. The final approval of the move remains under review by Congress, with 2 bills introduced in the House and Senate requiring NASA to oversee the transfer. Yet, the question of this tension between political will and fiscal reality continues to fuel debate, leaving the future of the shuttle's relocation in limbo.